Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?
Hey, everyone in, let's go. Huddle up on 3. 1, 2, 3, huddle up.
No one, and I mean no one, comes into our house and pushes us around. This is your game now, gentlemen.
Two minutes to go, and a puck up Dan Holtby watching a bad bounce out of the corner, and a shot and a save made by Braden Holtby. Oh my! As Alex Tuck was robbed on a puck that came bouncing out of the corner, and Washington by a whisker. Still on top with 1:59 to go. My goodness, Braden Holtby. Off the face-off, the Capitals have won it. The capital of the country is the capital of the hockey playoffs.
Many doubted we'd ever see it. But here it is. The return to glory.
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
We did it our way, baby! We did it! We did it! We did it!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Huddle Up Podcast, live here, Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube. It is Tuesday night, September the 29th, 2020. We got tons to talk about this week, including COVID hits the NFL, NBA gets the dream matchup, and the beginning of the Tampa dynasty? Maybe we'll talk about all of that. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media, Huddle Up Podcast on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our YouTube channel. If you just go to any of our social medias, you will find all the links, including the subscribes to all of our podcast content. Make sure you check out our home network, of course, NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. We stream also at leibsports.com, Leeib sports.com. We got Sean with us. Sean, how you doing this week?
Well, it's beautiful down here. Cold front moving in, so I'm outdoors again. So that's kind of nice. Not dying of sweat, but looking forward to weeks and months of Tampa sports talk.
Cold front. What is it going to be? A brisk 75 there tomorrow?
Yeah, 70s. Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough. Break out the winter clothes, Sean. Break them out. And then back with us, Dave is not with us this week, but back with us is Matt. It's been a few weeks. How you doing, bud? Settling in, it looks like.
Settled in, yep. Got the office set up so I can flip around for shows and feature the sports wall with the 76ers and the backwards here. 76ers and the Brian Dawkins poster behind me and the Mike Schmidt bat as well. No Flyers.
Very nice. My 76ers. How about that? I like that. Unfortunately, of course, they were bounced very early. I think you did warn me about that, so I can't even be that upset because you did. You warned me about the dangers of being a Sixers guy. But like I said, I'm a Capitals fan. I'm a Cowboys fan. Disappointment is just the name of the game. So we can jump in.
Notre Dame fan.
Yeah. That's plenty of even when we start a year 2-0, disappointment just creeps right around the corner.
It's looming.
Potentially derailing everything, but hopefully they can get back on track. I know they're intending on practicing this Saturday.
I'm fully prepared for them to beat Clemson and then lose to Wake Forest in that makeup game in December.
Lest we forget too that the week after Clemson looms Boston College, and we know how that goes.
Yeah.
Being a Notre Dame fan, but no, here's what I fully expect. I expect us to beat Clemson and then get derailed by another COVID outbreak. That's going to be the more likely candidate. That's going to, we finally get into a conference. We're doing well. We're proving everybody why we didn't really need to be in there to begin with, because we're better than ever, and then we're going to get derailed by a virus. But if you're following along with us on the live video, comment along with us and play along, and we'll respond to the comments. Make sure you give the video a like and a share or a retweet or whatever, wherever you are watching from, so we can jump right into this one. I did have a question of the week this week, and it was what has been the most surprising thing in the football season so far, and that could be either college or the NFL or both, quite frankly. And we can jump right into it. For me, I think it's kind of just the teams that are either seemingly a lot better than we expected them to be, or a lot worse. Like for me, I'm looking squarely at the Green Bay Packers, because they were a team that I thought they're gonna stumble out of the gate. They're going to kind of get behind the eight ball. The rest of that division is going to kind of get ahead. And, mid-season trade deadline, I was talking about they're going to potentially be looking at, fire sailing and moving Aaron Rodgers. And all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers reminding everybody who he is. And in a division where the Bears are a surprising team, the Vikings are a surprising bad team. The Lions are predictably underperforming, but off the bat, I think the NFC North is one of my surprises, that they're just it's almost upside down to what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say NFC North is definitely up there. Like you said, Lions are who we thought they were, but Bears and Packers on top. Vikings seemingly. Maybe they got their wheels spinning. We have yet to see. Defensively, I don't think so. So I think the NFC North is definitely a surprise for me. And I think I commented on there. My big surprise was in the NFC South. Now a lot of people were surprised by the slow, seemingly semi-slow start by the Saints. I think they'll be fine. By the way, Drew Brees didn't look old. They beat the Packers, and Dave was wrong. But also. The Atlanta Falcons. I'm not going to say we all thought their defense was going to be good, and their offense seems to be, even without a Julio Jones, as dominant as we thought it would be. But to blow the kind of leads that they're blowing, and to realistically have been in a situation where they could be on top of that division at 3-0, and all they would have had to do was make a few plays late in the game. I don't know. I think Atlanta's got to be my surprise. If not that, San Francisco overcoming the injuries they've come so far, and being able to win some games without literally half a roster. Unbelievable. But thanks for the late Dave music. Appreciate that.
That's also music for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean,
Atlanta Falcons and Dave are kind of the same. But he talks a big game, gets up there, gets out seemingly to a broadcasting lead. And then just blows it there at the end, calling out Drew Brees. But yeah, for me, Falcons and/or Niners are my two big ones.
All right, Matt, how about you?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with college. Just the biggest surprise to me with college is the number of games we're actually getting. Going into the season with so many cases popping up here and there, we weren't really sure what we would come to expect with the college season. Are we going to get many games? How many cancellations are there going to be? I know Notre Dame had to cancel on us last week, but I think the number of games we are still getting every week is generally surprising to me. More conferences now come in and saying, hey, we're going to give this a shot, since it seems to be working. Big Ten coming back, Pac-12 coming back, SEC now returning to Big 12. Still no defense, but hey, they're there.
That is not surprising. That is not surprising.
Not at all. I mean, the Texas Tech game is proof that you don't have to play defense to win in the SEC. And if we're looking at pros, I think the Bills, to an extent, are a little surprising just because of Josh Allen's play. I think we knew that defense would be pretty good and the Bills would be a pretty solid team. But I think Josh Allen's kind of stepping up here this year and being a little bit more of a productive quarterback and not just kind of like the safe bet, like a system QB who's not going to win you any games, not going to lose you any games. I think he's actually showing that he can win games this season.
Yeah, and to the college thing, I think all the conferences have made plans to return. The Pac-12, the Mountain West, and the MAC, I think, also announced over the past week that they will be returning to action. So yeah, all systems go for college. I think I saw a bowl projection, which I think it's pretty bold to make any bowl projections at this point. 4 weeks into the year, but I think one of them had Notre Dame and USC playing in a bowl game, so we would get our USC matchup after all this year if it would all play out, which is one of the games. USC, Stanford, and of course Navy are the three big ones that disappeared from the Notre Dame schedule this year, which is obviously a bummer. Those are like the big three that are always there, that you always make sure that you watch if you are a Denver starting yet another new quarterback this week. I assume that's Mark Rippon's son. I don't even know who he is. I have a buddy who's a Broncos fan, and I told him a couple weeks ago. I said, dude, if you want to switch, feel free. I said I'll give you a one-time pass because that's brutal out there. He said he's sticking with him, and then today he is none too happy that Rippon has been the starter.
Well, man, Jake there. Now back in sunny Florida, though. Back in sunny Florida, no longer from Louisville. Coming here right from St. Pete as well, right down the road. But we, Denver's quarterback situation. I'll tell you one thing: if I'm Melvin Gordon or anybody that was trying to catch a Driscoll pass, I'm not upset. You get somebody else out there that can get me a ball or get it out of there quicker or get out of the line of fire, whatever you got to do. If you started any Broncos, and I did, you're fine with the change. Maybe you sit him on the bench for a week, see how it goes, but I don't think it's going to get much worse offensively. You're going to have to lean on the defense a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think
let it. And then I got a catchphrase: "Let it rip." You know what I mean? Let it rip.
And if there's a bright spot to Rippon getting the start, they play the Jets.
Let it rip
on Thursday night. So you might as well, if you're going to do it, might as well do it when you're playing the Jets. Looking here at some of the comments, Andrew had said that he was surprised that it took the Bears so long overall to finally sit Trubisky and Nick Foles back in the captain's seat. Nick Foles for Chicago. He got the comeback win, and he got the win this week against the Falcons. He will start this coming week. Ryan says the NFC least. Yeah,
that's not surprising.
Well, I mean, it is and it isn't. I mean, I know the Cowboys not having a defense, not very surprising. I mean, I think the Eagles playing as bad as they have, I would say would be a little bit surprising. I think maybe some of the play calling decisions from Doug Peterson may be a little bit surprising. But I didn't think it would be this bad. I mean, the Cowboys at 1-2, Washington at 1-2, only a half game up over the 0-2-1 Eagles. Now I will give Doug credit. He did say today that he did regret playing for the tie. Does that make you feel any better, guys? Is that
no regrets?
I was embarrassed on Sunday.
It was pretty bad.
That was rough. That was rough. And
did a quick bit of research. Rippon is the nephew of the Mark Rippon we all know and love. So not a son, but a nephew. And the Broncos would like to let you know that they are open to, in certain situations, you may still see Driscoll. I'm not sure what sort of situation you need to sub in Driscoll, but he is available for certain packages.
How bad are they expecting Rippon to be
When you're like, yeah, Driscoll, he will be. Don't panic. Driscoll
in
will be
case
on the
of
sideline.
emergency? Use Jeff Driscoll. Like that's
Well, they're not the only team dealing with it right now. I mean, there's plenty of.
When's the last time
pieces.
the Broncos had like a solid QB?
I like Locke. Don't get me wrong. He's got potential.
Locke,
I like him.
Unfortunately,
But yeah,
the
Tim Tebow, last legitimate NFL quarterback in a Broncos uniform. Tim Tebow.
was even that legitimate? And don't tell me he won a playoff
He
game.
won a playoff game.
Yeah, Trent Dilfer won a fucking Super Bowl. That doesn't mean
he won as many as Romo, right? No, more.
Really? Are we really going to do that? Are we really doing that?
I fired Jacob. I mentioned Tebow's name.
Yeah, if you're following along there in the live video, give us a like, give us a share, comment along with us. We would appreciate that. And we're glad to have Jake with you. What did he say here? The 188-yard pass to a D tackle.
He's going off.
Yeah, there he goes. That's my guy.
I think DT is Demaryius Thomas.
Oh, well, it could have been a defensive tackle. As bad as the Steelers' defense was on that play, probably could have been a defensive tackle. All right, let's move ahead. I have two college matchups for this weekend, and obviously we were talking about the Fighting Irish. They had to cancel or postpone their game. They had to postpone their game.
Moved up in the rankings.
Yes, they did. I mean, it helps that you had a couple of teams blow some big ones this past weekend, but had to postpone the game versus Wake Forest last week. A scheduled off week this week, which is still a good thing because I think it was 25 positive cases on the team, which is if you're doing the math at home, that's not good. Certainly not good. But I know Brian Kelly said today that they the healthy players that aren't quarantined or sick, they intend to resume practice on Saturday. They play Florida State next week. So even if you're down 25 guys, you should probably be able to beat Florida State.
Yeah, I feel like the rosters will look very similar.
Yeah. I'll still take the Irish plus. I don't know what the spread's going to be on that one, but I'll still take the Irish plus even if you're down 25. And Virginia Tech was another one. They were down. It was like 20. It was like 20 plus players, and I think 10 coaches or something like that. So it's problematic with some schools, and others seem to be on top of it a little bit more. But it's going to be a thing we're going to watch throughout the year. But two matchups hitting two top 25 teams. These are actually both in the SEC. Number 13, Texas A&M. Who is 1-0 at number 2, Alabama, also 1-0. Alabama 16.5-point favorite. The over/under 53.5. This one Saturday at 3:30 on CBS. I like Alabama here. I'm actually going to take Alabama plus the points. I don't think Texas A&M is that good. I don't. They may be 13th, but I think that's just one of those batty things where in a normal year, I don't like early in preseason polls. I really don't like them this year because of everything that's going on, and just based on what we saw with LSU and Mississippi State last week, I'm going to go plus on the 53.5 as well. So Alabama plus and the over.
Yeah, I would say I was one that when we were discussing some on the preview show, we were trying to pick some rankings, things like that. I did mention A&M. Is a team that I kind of like to surprise some folks in the SEC. I think they're a lot better than people expected them to be, or a lot of people don't even expect them to be good. So I like what I saw out of A&M so far. I like what I thought I was going to see at the beginning of the year. Having said that, it's a little early to draw Alabama. I'm not sure you've gotten quite ahead of steam. If they're feeling confident, they're feeling good. I would not be as surprised as most if they pull the upset off here. I don't think a 17.5 point spread points at Vegas necessarily being that surprised either. So if you're A&M, at least hang your hat on only a 17-point spread. But I think Alabama pulls this out. It's probably one of those, in my opinion, it's going to be close for a lot longer than people think, but Alabama is just going to be too deep, too long. That's what she said. And they're going to pull away late. And I don't know if I like the over. Yeah, they're getting racy here on Tuesday. But I think Alabama to cover in the end. But I'm not sure I like that over. I feel like you're going to see some turnovers, probably even some surprise Alabama turnovers early. I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take Alabama, but I'm going to keep them under that high ceiling there.
All right, Matt, how about you?
I'm actually going to take A&M to stay within the spread. They're obviously not going to win, but I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think that's a pretty large spread for this. Give me 10.5, and I'd probably take Bama. But any more than that, and but I do think it will stay under 54.5? You said
53.5.
Yeah.
Which changes everything.
Right. Yeah. That 1 point.
I had him at 53.5.
I think in the end, we'll see a little stumble out of the gates for both against this team, just kind of figuring things out. That's why A&M's able to keep it close. Bama wins probably by like a touchdown, and then they just kind of let the foot off the gas towards the end.
All right, and then we move to Saturday night, 7:30 on ESPN. Number 7 Auburn 1-0 at number 4 Georgia, who had a little bit of a scare at least early on this past week, and they're 1-0, a 6.5 point home favorite. The over/under on this one 45. Georgia did kind of correct the ship, but I think I'm actually going to take Auburn to not only cover the spread, but I think I'm going to take Auburn to actually pull the upset here on Georgia. And it happens early enough that Georgia can recover. I think in our preseason predictions, I had Georgia as one of the teams in the SEC title game versus Alabama. So they can recover from an early season loss like this. And obviously the rest of the SEC schedule can shake itself out. And I'm actually going to go the under. Georgia, usually a fairly good defensive team. I feel like Auburn can do that as well. I'm not sold necessarily on either offense here out of the gate. So Auburn to pull the upset and the under. Sean, how about you?
Well, last week I had praised Bo Nix and I praised Auburn, and you know what? They did exactly what I said they would. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm going to do it as many times as I can while I'm still hitting them. Having said that, Bo Nix is going to do real well. Georgia has a lot of things going against them, like you said. Got a little sloppy out of the gate last week. Now you have a little bit of a quarterback controversy of sorts. You obviously replaced someone in the last game, come in, kind of add a spark to win, and now you're going to add, from what I'm reading, JT Daniels, the USC transfer, officially eligible to play and practicing with the team. So you got a choice. I think the original starter's out. I think you're going to go with either whoever had the spark, or you're going to say, JT Daniels. I think they provide a little bit more in the passing game and a little more arm strength, kind of stretch the field to open up that running game. And because of that, whoever they land on, I think it's going to be kind of all systems go for Georgia. This is the one they need to really make a statement and really take control of that East. So I'm going to take Georgia. Where was that over under at on your sheet?
45.
Yeah, I like Bo Nix and the Auburn offense more than most years. I'm going to take both teams to push points. I think they're going to push each other pretty high. I'm going to take the over fairly easily on that.
All right, very good. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty low spread, so I feel comfortable taking the over in that. And I think Georgia stumbling last week just has them a little more focused, a little more motivated this week. So I think that they'll get the win, cover the spread. But I think we'll see a lot more points than we're used to seeing in an SEC type game.
All right, and let's pause here. We actually have a sponsor now through NGSC Sports, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on the other side to talk NFL, Major League postseason, and more. Stick with us. Huddle Up Podcast live.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. log on to the website arenaeats.app. That's arenaeats.app for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis on all things sports. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, subscribe to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports, and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop. And we're back, Huddle Up Podcast, live here, Facebook, Periscope, and our YouTube channel. We are glad you are with us here on a Tuesday night. Obviously, a lot going on in the sports world and in the real world. But if you're taking some time out of your Tuesday to join us, we appreciate that. Or whenever you might be listening to the podcast, we appreciate you doing that as well. Just update on the baseball playoffs, which we will kind of preview who we think is going to end up as the World Series champion here in a little bit. The Yankees leading the Cleveland Indians 7-2 in the bottom of the fifth inning. And earlier in game one, it was the Tampa Bay Rays defeating Toronto, aka Buffalo, by a score of 3-1 in game one of their best of three matchup. So the baseball playoffs are underway. Of course, the Stanley Cup Finals finished last night, which we will talk about the Lightning, and the NBA Finals gets underway tomorrow night in Orlando. But the big story today in the NFL, and we'll get to our big four because it relates to one of the four games that I'd highlighted for this weekend, and that's the 3-0 Tennessee Titans hosting the 3-0 Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe because it was announced today, three members of the Tennessee Titans, the team, as well as five members of their personnel have tested positive for COVID-19. So both the Titans facilities as well as the Vikings, who they played, have been shut down at least through late in the week or this weekend. The officiating crew from this past weekend will be tested every day and will be sitting this weekend. The NFL has one officiating crew that has a bye week every week, so that crew will be the bye this week. So and Gritty showing his face randomly down there in the Sunshine State.
You try controlling him.
But this tweet earlier from Adam Schefter: the NFL wants to and intends to play the Tennessee Titans versus Pittsburgh Steelers as scheduled on Sunday. One of the contingency plans to allow for additional testing and contact tracing to occur would then move the game to Monday night. So the NFL is still going to try to get this game in. I know Dave shared a tweet with me earlier. I forget the account that it came from. But I think the Titans have a bye week in week 7. The Steelers have a bye week in week 8, a week after they play the Ravens, who also have a bye week 8. So potentially you could do some juggling there. But hopefully this doesn't become more of an issue in the NFL. I mean, it's when you don't have a bubble, we talked about this when we predicted the seasons. This is probably going to be a thing that happens. So the NFL is going to, I'm sure, try to do their best to avoid canceling or postponing games, because it's going to be a trickle effect throughout the year. And then you got to wonder, are you going to extend the playoffs out so you make up time? It's all very preliminary at this point, but it's something we're obviously going to watch as this season carries on. But yeah, I mean, this is the first instance of the virus hitting the NFL, and You know, we knew that not being in a bubble was going to be hard to maintain, because that was what we talked about. The NBA has been successful, the WNBA is successful. The NHL went 9 weeks or whatever it was in the Toronto and Edmonton bubbles, COVID free, and we're seeing with college. We saw with the beginning of Major League Baseball, they finally got it contained. But when you're not, and I saw there was pictures and videos. I tweeted in a an article earlier from my personal Twitter page that there was Raiders players out at some event, just no masks and all of that. So I'm like, this is exactly how these things happen. Like, whether you, it's not really a debate about your thoughts on masks, your feelings on masks, or anything. But the bottom line is, if you put yourself out there in those potential situations, this is how a season gets derailed. Sean Madden.
Well, yeah, this is. I mean, that's the kind of scenario, the NFL looked like it was headed for a lot faster than it has. One time, we talked many times about what seemed like a lack of planning, just kind of like, well, we'll see, we'll play it by ear. And I'll give it to them with the contract tracing steps they've put in play. And for the most part, it seems like teams have a pretty good grip on everything. Surprisingly, the team in Las Vegas can't, but that's okay, because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, unless it's a virus, because that doesn't always stick around. That'll follow you wherever you go. But that's kind of situation. I expect the league, if there are actual pictures, or there are actual documented evidence of them being out of there. We know the league came down real harshly on coaches and sideline personnel for not wearing their masks in the first week or two. I mean, more fines than you normally see for players in a week came down for not wearing a mask, only because the NFL knows this is the paycheck. This is, having an opportunity to play, fans or not, is at least money coming in, and it's at least something happening. And if people are going to take it into their own personal account to derail it, they're going to make up some of that difference. So I don't know if it's going to truly affect that game. I think there is a chance. We just saw in soccer in England, Premier League, I think Tottenham had to forfeit a match because of a similar situation. And I think there's a chance you may see that. I think the NFL has a pretty deep roster of, practice players that in the very, strangest of situations, you may just kind of see a replacement team out there hoping for the best.
Keanu Reeves sitting at home.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves, get him out there. I've seen him do his magic. He's good. But I don't know. I don't know in that situation if you're willing to, because of what starters are going to stay. You know what I mean? Are you replacing linemen and keeping your high-paid quarterback behind them? I don't know how that plays out, but I think there's a chance you may see some forfeits due to it. I hope they can find another way around it, but I think the league will be on top of it as best they can, and hopefully we have plenty of football ahead of us.
Yeah, because it has been a nice welcome distraction on the weekend. Football has been, and even if my Cowboys and you guys feel the pain as well, but it's still been nice to have it there. Matt, thoughts on the developing situation out of Tennessee?
Yeah, I think we kind of expected this to happen with football, doing just because of the closeness of the players, a lot of contact in that sport. We saw so many cases with baseball where, there's very little contact. So, we kind of figured that NFL was going to test the limits, and, hopefully it doesn't get any worse. But I think we all kind of assumed that this would happen at some point, hoping that it doesn't result in any sort of forfeiture or cancel games. But again, health and player safety has to come first. So if that has to be the case, then so be it. End of the day, it's just a game. It is a nice distraction for all of us. So I certainly want to see as much football and other sports as we can, but not at the risk of anyone's future.
Yeah, and that's an important thing to kind of keep things in perspective as well. I mean, we enjoy the games and all of that, but it goes beyond sports as well. So All right, let's dig into the big four for the weekend, and like I said, starting with the 3-0 Steelers. If the game happens, they are a 2-point road favorite at Tennessee, who's also 3-0. 47 is the over/under. This one's Sunday, 1 Eastern on CBS. I know I'm taking the under in this one. The Titans offense hasn't totally jumped off the page at me now. Whether the Steelers, I mean, it's a 2-point number, so saying it's almost a push at this point. Whether or not I want to call the upset, but I think I do like Pittsburgh in this one, especially because they've kind of been without the distraction this week. Maybe they just are able to be a little bit more focused on the game of football. So I'll take the Steelers and the under.
I think in a non-COVID related situation, I think my pick would be very different than it's about to be. I still love Ryan Tannehill. I still love the running game they have there. I love the line. And I think their defense is incredibly underrated as well. I think that they're definitely a top half defense and have a chance to finish even better than that. Having said that, I don't know who the players are. I don't know what's going to happen between now and Sunday. And because of that, because we picked so early in the week, I think I got to go with Pittsburgh to cover on this. I was kind of in the middle anyway. I don't think it was going to be close either way. For Tennessee's sake, I hope I'm wrong. I hope they just prove me wrong here because I like everything they're doing in the AFC South, and I hope that they can pull that division out. But yeah, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh, and I'm with you on the under. I don't think there's as many points scored here. You mentioned Tennessee struggling. I haven't seen a lot of success out of Pittsburgh. Bursts, some pretty high scoring bursts, but still, I'm not sure that line's quite, got the running game leveled out, and I think you're going to see two defenses keep this score low.
All right, Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of the first true test for Pittsburgh. We've seen them win 3 games against 3 underwhelming teams, with Denver facing all the injuries they are, the Giants just being the Giants, and Houston trading away all their good players and saying, do your best, Deshaun, and it's not really working out. So I don't really know what we have in the Steelers yet. That being said, I don't think that Tennessee has the offense to keep up with the Steelers, just with the firepower that they kind of shown that they do have. That Ben always kind of has that ability to just score quickly with all the speed he has at receiver. So I think the Steelers win. I think they cover, but I certainly would not take the over either, just because Tennessee's offense at this point isn't like setting the world on fire.
All right, then we go to 2-1 Indianapolis. They are a 3-point road favorite at 3-0 Chicago. 45 is the number on this one. This one also Sunday at 1:00, also on CBS. So we got Nick Foles back in the saddle. He leads a big comeback last week. Mitch Trubisky finally, if you're a Bears fan, finally to the bench. It was possibly, in hindsight, one of the worst draft days, if you're looking back on it. The players that were still on the board, one of them had a pretty good showing last night on Monday Night Football with Kansas City. Just pretty good. He's all right. I think that kid's got a future.
He might make some money someday.
He might. And then you got the Colts, who I think are still kind of finding their identity with Phillip Rivers, and I know they have a little bit of a banged up offense there, but I think the defense has looked decent through a couple weeks. But I like the Bears. I like the Bears at home with Nick Foles. I think there's going to be a little bit of energy there. Obviously you're playing against a team that last week that had blown leads, but I like Nick Foles back in the saddle. I'm glad he's no longer just down the road from me and Matt here to cause me any more stress in my life that I don't need. So I'll take Nick Foles in a comfortable win. And I will still take the under. I don't think either offense here is impressive. So Bears and the under. Sean.
Well, Phillip Rivers, you talk about a team trying to figure itself out and kind of find its identity. Phillip Rivers has spent the good part of 2 decades trying to find his identity. The only thing I know he is a dad a whole lot of times. Other than that, I don't really know. I don't know whether the guy fathers more children or throws more interceptions. I can't decide. But he's doing fine. They got a running game going, and their defense is way overperforming right now. I thought they were a good defense as well. I didn't think it was this good. But they're playing real well. But if you think I'm going to pick the Colts in this game against Nick Foles, you got to be out of your mind. Nick Foles came in and in a quarter, a little over a quarter, pretty much surmounted everything that Mitch Trubisky has done up to this point. And I think Nick's going to be, like you said, he's going to be amped up. I think everyone's excited. I saw Tariq Cohen get a little more involved last week. Finally, stop pretending that Montgomery's a shifty pass-catching back. You have one of those, and Nick Foles, I know, loves his shifty pass-catching back, so he's going to want him involved. And I know Allen Robinson's got to be excited about it. That guy's been dying to stretch the field. So I think the Bears' offense is going to wake up. It's going to be hard against that defense, but I think Nick does get a little excited out of the chute, maybe turns the ball over a time or two, sets up a short field for Phillip Rivers, and because of that, has to kind of push that score up. I'm going to take the over with Nick Foles winning the game.
All right, Matt, how about you?
Yeah, it's tough because I think Tariq Cohen is one of those players that Foles would have relied on a lot, and so him being out for the rest of the year doesn't really bode well for what I thought Nick was going to have going. I mean, you saw him use him pretty well in that comeback win. Again, I can't see myself picking Rivers to win a game because this is the exact type of game that Phillip Rivers just loses all by himself, like a crushing interception in the fourth on the comeback. That's Phillip Rivers' identity. It's just Romo 2.0. So that being said, nice jersey, Jim. I'm gonna take the Bears, and I'm gonna take the over as well. I think that we see Rivers kind of come out of his shell a little bit, and then do exactly what Phillip Rivers does. So Bears win, but a higher scoring game than I think many would anticipate.
I used to joke down here in Tampa Bay that people give Jameis Winston a rough time. I was like, I've been watching Phillip Rivers play Jameis Winston for the last decade. So if he has when they were like, are we going to get rid of him? I'm like, I don't know. Chargers didn't. Like I used to give people that. So I think he had kind of that transition, and now Rivers gets to just be Rivers again because there's no impersonator in Tampa Bay.
All right, then we go to Kansas City, where the 3-0 Kansas City Chiefs host the one of those I think surprising teams as well, the 2-1 New England Patriots. The Chiefs are a 6.5-point home favorite. 53.5 is the over/under on this one. This looks to be the marquee of the late matchups. 4:25 on CBS. Man, part of me wants to say New England is going to cover here, but just watching what the Chiefs did last night, I can't do that in good conscience. So I'm going to go Chiefs. I'm going to go Chiefs plus. And 3.5. I like New England's offense has been moving the ball, so I'm going to take the over. So Chiefs plus and the over.
Yeah, I don't. The only thing the Patriots have going for them, and it's a big one when your coach is Bill Belichick, is you get the short week for Kansas City. So, do I think it's out of the realm of possibility they're more prepared? Yes, I think it is out of the realm of possibility that they're more prepared. You can be as prepared as you want. Pat Mahomes is going to surprise you. And I think, like you said, we saw that last night. And I don't see any reason why New England really challenges here. I think this might be the first one because New England's kind of come out of here. And, 2-1, you can call it a surprise if you want. I don't know if I'm that surprised. Maybe in the style of play and how well the defense has played with some holes having opted out. Maybe that's a surprise to me. I think all those games were winnable through coaching and just through not turning the ball over. I think this might be the game that Cam's kind of forced to try to do some things, and he's kind of a self-centered guy, if you haven't noticed. And I think that Mahomes being the center of attention in this whole the whole talk of this game, and probably is going to get compared to Cam in some of those interview questions. I think that's going to get to him. He's going to try to force some things, and I think this might be the one where you see New England make some mistakes, and it's going to kind of expose them. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to cover pretty easily. That over marked real close. I don't know, just for disparity's sake, why don't I take the under on that? Just say that New England doesn't put up quite enough to push it to there, and it's kind of all Chiefs filling just up to it, but not quite there.
All right, Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I think this game is kind of like the changing of the guard, because I think Kansas City for the next few years is going to be what the Patriots were for so long. I think they just have the build of a dynasty team at this point. We saw Andy Reid kind of put on a clinic on Monday against the Ravens, who are supposed to have a pretty good defense, and Mahomes and Reid just kind of picked everything apart there. I don't think New England has the defense that's even on par with Baltimore, and I don't think Cam has the weapons to keep up. So I think Kansas City covers easily. I do like the reclamation project in Cam going to New England. I do feel like, at some points, definitely a selfish guy, but still kind of got a bad rap. So I like to see him succeed, but I just don't think it's going to happen this week. But I will take the over. I think he puts up enough points to get over the spread, but I still think Kansas City wins handily. I think double digits, most likely.
Yeah. I like what you said about the passing of the torch kind of thing. And I think the one thing you see with Kansas City is they have enough facets to that offense with speed on the outside, big, tall, good tight end play, good slot receivers, and then the ability to kind of use the running backs that you can prepare for them all you want. And if one thing's not working, they have so many facets to just turn to on the fly. And Andy Reid's a really good game day coach. So I kind of like what you mean there. It's kind of similar to what the Patriots were doing for a really long time.
By the way, if you're following along on social media at all, we're like 15 minutes into the debate, and it looks like it's just a mess. Like, I'm so happy we're doing this right now.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a mess.
It looks like it's an absolute dumpster fire like 10 minutes in. So
I don't care which side you're on. It's going to literally look like
we talked
things at each other.
We talked about things that were surprising. That is not surprising.
Not surprising.
It's probably Biden forgetting where he was going with his comments, and Trump just saying fake news.
Trump
idiot.
Just,
what's this guy talking about?
Yeah, like questions that just derail the debate. Like, well, what did you have for dinner? I don't know. Why'd I come in the kitchen? Things like that.
Yeah, just a mess. So
don't worry about it. Don't worry about what I have.
Well, it'll be entertaining.
Doesn't matter.
It'll be entertaining on Twitter.
For those that are following along with us, we appreciate you here with us. Comment along if you have any thoughts on what's going on here. And one more NFL game on the schedule here. The 3-0 Buffalo Bills traveling as a 3-point road favorite to 2-1 Las Vegas Raiders. 52.5 is the over/under on this one. Also 425 on CBS. So if you haven't noticed, like, 2 1 o'clock games, 2 4 o'clock games, the Sunday night game, the Monday night game are not pretty. I think the Eagles are Monday night next week.
Sunday
night, and they play. Who do they play?
At San Francisco.
Oh, San Francisco is still pretty.
I'll tell you what, it is the battle of the beaten.
Yeah.
If there's two, you find me a team with more holes than those two.
Is it too early to flex games?
You just flex them out.
Out week 4.
I don't know. I think it makes a lot of good talking points for just the fact that if you took everyone on their injury report between those two teams, you could fill in a starting roster probably.
That'd be a pretty solid team, yeah.
That'd be good.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I think George Kittle is supposed to be back. So regardless,
but Jordan Reed's dead. So
Jordan, yeah, well, also
just
not
not
surprising.
But lasted longer than I thought he would.
Yeah, game and a half.
But what is surprising, and I'm not making a joke out of this, but what is surprising is it wasn't a concussion this time.
That's true.
So
it was his leg for the third time.
It was his leg that gave up this time. not the concussion. But I like. I wish this number was bigger than 3. I really do. You know what? Screw it. Screw it. I'm gonna take the Raiders to win here at home. I'm gonna take the hopeful over because I have Josh Jacobs and the Raiders tight end. So it's just and I have John Brown. So I'm like, it's just me throwing hope into the.
Do you not even know the guy's name?
I hope it's Waller, right? Darren Waller, Dustin Waller, something Waller.
Well, while they're out there, catch a dozen passes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't matter what your name is.
Catch another dozen balls. All that guy does is catch balls all day. Just 12 balls a game.
Which is also baffling why Jason Witten decided to go there. But I guess if somebody's going to pay you, I guess that's
pay
your
you good money to block. That's his dream.
Why not?
What were the other options? Going back into the booth? My God.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
You know what? I want to thank the Raiders for keeping him from going back to the booth. So yeah, Raiders and the over for me. Sean, how about you?
Yeah, I think that number is just it is close. It's kind of one of those where it's like, it was a little bit of a bigger spread, I would know which side I was on. I'm kind of the other way. I'm a guy that drafted the Bills defense, and I love the Bills defense. And to be honest, that defense has been kind of on the other side of that Indianapolis coin, where they've been putting up some fantasy numbers. At least like acceptable, but they're not really dominating any games. I'm not seeing the pass rush. I don't think the defensive line play has been very good. I think the secondary's been doing their best to do some coverage, and I did like Matt earlier, loving him some Josh Allen, and I think the addition of Stephon Diggs really opened that offense up a lot. Kind of a lot of people going, well, what's he going to do opposite John Brown? You know what he's going to do? Make John Brown get open a lot. And when teams key in with John Brown, guess who's open on the other side? It's some pretty speedy guys with good hands, and it's really helped Josh Allen and Knox in the center of the field. And man, if they can get that running game going outside of Josh Allen, look out. I'm not going to lie to you. That's going to be a real good team. But I'm kind of with you. I feel like it doesn't feel right. I feel like I should want the Bills. I should like the Bills. I like Josh Allen. I think he's going to have a day. But I think Derek Carr might also have a day. I feel like it's going to be that kind of thing where it's going to be close. And I'm asking the football gods right now who have told me 3 times in a row the Eagles would win. And they lied.
Well, they weren't wrong last week.
And they've told me to go with the Raiders, so I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to take Josh Allen and the Bills. I love everything about him, and I hate the Raiders.
Apparently, we did get a "Will you shut up, man?" on the debate.
Oh man,
Biden apparently said, "Will you shut up, man?"
And you know what? He's so quick on the cuff and just acts like he's in a conversation that I can just hear it.
Yeah.
Will you shut up, man?
Will you shut up, man?
Shut up, man.
Holy crap! All right, Matt. Bills and Raiders.
Oh, Bills and under.
And the under for sure.
Yeah. What was the spread for the over/under?
52.5.
Oh, okay. So I'm clearly going to take the under there. I'm going to take the Bills in a 31-0 win.
Wow.
Now 1 point coming from Las Vegas this week. I think that Derek Carr is kind of in over his head. I don't think that Josh Jacobs, unfortunately, Jim, is going to net you much. I'm going to predict a -2 in fantasy for Josh Jacobs because he's going to fumble on his first carry and then just be benched because Gruden wants to make a statement. Yeah,
a lot of bold predictions in this.
That one's a little bit of a stretch, but I do think that the Bills defense wants to make a statement game, and I think this is the time that they do it. You know, they had the Rams just kind of beaten mercilessly last week, let them back in. I think that defense has a little bit more pride, and they're going to show it against Derek Carr, who, you know, we know is prone to throw a pick or 2 or 3 or 4. So I think that the Bills get up pretty by a lot pretty early. I think Carr tries to put the team on his back, and I think it just collapses. So Bills big.
His back or the team?
Both.
Yes. Yes.
The Bills are going to rake his back.
Oh my God! I gotta have that somewhere. I know I did.
He raked my back. And now he didn't literally rake it.
All right, let's move to Major League Baseball. Of course, the playoffs got underway this afternoon. Like I said, the Rays a 3-1 win over the Buffalo Toronto Blue Jays. Cleveland still trailing 7-2, maybe 8. Yep, there's the 8th run. Just came across on a sac fly. New York is up in the top of the 7th, now 8-2 over Cleveland. These opening round is, of course, at the team with the better record. I think all 3 games are played there, so it's not like a 2-1 travel situation. And then the American League divisional series are played in San Diego and Los Angeles. The championship series will be in San Diego. National League NLDS is in Arlington and Houston. The NLCS will be in Arlington, and then the World Series will be played in Arlington. So, but looking over the bracket here, opening round, Blue Jays versus the Rays, Yankees and the Indians, Twins and the Astros, and the A's hosting the White Sox. In the National League, you have the Dodgers, Brewers, Padres, Cardinals, Cubs, Marlins, and Braves, Reds. Obviously, guys, the big story was with the NL East was the Phillies and their just horrible bullpen. Like I actually, and again, if there's, besides my Sixers, if there's a Philly team that I do not hate, it is the Phillies. And I felt horrible. I felt horrible for Phillies fans having to watch that on a daily basis for the last 60 games.
It was comedic by the end of it.
Well, and they made a push. I mean they hit a point where they were able to stretch some starters later into a game. The bullpen decided to wake up. There were some call-ups, some send-downs. But I mean, it was a situation where even when they won, I think it was like 12 of 14, got into the playoff picture. I mean, some of those games they're winning, it's not even like they happen to score 9 runs. Like, it's like to win those games, like you're scoring 6, 7, 8, 9 runs. And I haven't had time to really go dig through the schedule and put a stat together because I can't find it. I would like to know the percentage of the Phillies' losses where they scored at least 5. And I'd imagine if you took that stat and broke it down for every team in the majors, I doubt there's anybody with more than the Philadelphia Phillies.
There can't be.
It's just baffling that lineup puts together these tremendous, and they come out early. I mean, it's not like they set the team up and like make it a surprise. They come out, they take like 2-run leads, 4-run leads by the 3rd inning, add a couple more late and wind up losing. So I think it was pretty embarrassing. It's been a few years and we still have not addressed the bullpen. I'm hoping that the fact that we got in only to blow it, and even as bad as it was, with a Cardinals win on the last day and a Giants loss on the last day, all we would have had to do was win against a Tampa Bay team that already they didn't need it.
They had nothing to play for.
I don't even think we scored a run on the last day. Shutout. Reminded me a lot of Game 6 of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Uh-oh, Spadudios.
Exactly. Spadudios all season.
Yeah. Yeah, brutal.
Yeah, the Phillies had a lead in 48 out of 60 of the games that they played. And they won 29 of those games. So
that's brutal.
Not even 28-32. Right,
that is an unbelievable statistic.
It's ridiculous. The worst bullpen I've ever seen. And I saw today that the rumor is Matt Klentak, who assembled this bullpen, is going to keep his job.
He's going to keep his job?
That's what I hear.
Well,
so
I'd say I'm moving, but I already did.
Yeah. So I mean, it's unfortunate, but such is the life of the Philly fans. Hey, at least we have the union.
There you go. There's always somebody there. For the record, the Orioles were 25-35. like the team that I was like, are they going to win 10 out of 60? They won 25, and they were in the hunt at times throughout this year. I actually felt pretty good. I feel pretty good about those 25 wins. Like almost a 500 season. Like in a normal 162 game season, I feel like the Orioles sometimes
25 wins would be
struggle to win 25. So you can do that at a 60. You know, I'm pretty impressed. All right, we're not going to go series by series. We're just going to look out here to the World Series, which is currently scheduled to take place between October 20th and 28th. I am going to I'm going to take Tampa out of the American League. I feel, and I'm actually going to take them to win the World Series. I feel like the Lightning maybe, and maybe it's because Sean did move down there. Like maybe it just disrupted the universe, and it's like they're going to give your home city all the championships, even though it's not the ones that you cheer for. So I'm going to go Tampa out of the AL. I'm going to have them over the Atlanta Braves coming out of the National League. I almost had them take. I almost took the Marlins out of the NL because they were the team that was going to derail the baseball season. So why wouldn't they just make the playoffs? The World Series. But no, I'm going to have Tampa over Atlanta in the World Series, and Tampa winning that in 6. I'll go in 6. Sean, what's your prediction for the World Series?
I thought you were gonna have me like walk through it. I was like, okay, well, let's just do a little bit. You know, maybe we'll get there. World
in the
Series.
interest of time, I'm going to keep it a little short.
Makes sense. I'm used to have to recap because I talk too much. So let me just. I like Tampa a lot as well. I thought, and it's not because I'm here. Like I've not been absorbed into the sports culture necessarily.
Thanks, COVID.
but I will say that Tampa seems to just play ball the right way. They have a real good starting pitching rotation. It's not. Is it the best in the playoffs? No. But those teams, spend a lot of money on those guys. The one thing that might hurt Tampa is one of their strengths is they had a good starting rotation 1 to 5. And I think when you get into the playoffs and you get to these situations where teams are throwing three game rotations, that could disrupt it a little bit. But offensively, they just manufacture runs really well. They're fast. They play a great defensive baseball. And so I'm going to take them with you. I'm going to take them. I'm not going to take the Braves just because, screw the Braves. I don't really feel like dealing with that. I don't even. It would kill me to say the Marlins. I'm gonna take the Cubs. I was like between like 3 teams to get through. I'm gonna take the Cubs because why not?
It's a feel good.
It was like Tampa, Chicago, and that. I really have no basis as to why. I feel a lot of the teams, with more teams in the playoffs, I don't know how to pick Major League Baseball playoffs. And I feel like they're just kind of, like all of a sudden it's like, well, they're all kind of the same. So, juggle, and I'm going to take the Cubs in the National League because go Wrigley.
If you're not following at Effin Birds, EFFIN Birds on Twitter,
at Effin Birds.
At Effin Birds. I highly recommend it. It always makes you feel better about like the world being on fire. But they just tweeted out. It's just like a black and white picture of a bird with a funny saying. This one pretty appropriate tonight. Who's in charge of this fucking train wreck? So at Effin Birds on Twitter. You're welcome. Matt, who's your World Series pick?
So this morning, I was really feeling the A's. Saw they lost already, game 1, but let's stick with them. So I had the A's Dodgers. I thought that would be a fun series, just kind of reliving the glory of the 80s when the world was a mess back then.
Oh, yeah.
Here we are again, same thing. How about we have an earthquake too in the World Series as well, just to
sure, why not?
Everything that just was horrible in the 80s, because then we had a good turnaround. The 90s were good. The 2000s were fine. So I had the A's over the Dodgers this time, because I feel like every year I'm like, hey, this is the year the A's could finally do it, and they don't. So why not 2020? Let's make it happen.
Sure. Why the hell not? All right, and then finally, just checking in here. Obviously, last night in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final, the Tampa Bay Lightning just finally putting the Dallas Stars to sleep. I think Dallas wore themselves out even getting to Game 6. Tampa was just too good. The pieces they put on that roster, was the thing to finally get them over that hump of not being able to win in the postseason. Although I saw it was a quote tweet from the NHL Network. One of their analysts back on October 1st of last year, so almost a full calendar year ago, predicted the Tampa Bay Lightning over the Dallas Stars in the Stanley Cup Final. Which, first off, in a normal season, I wouldn't have predicted that.
No.
But then, you had Dallas go off the rails. Their coach got fired, checked himself into alcohol rehab. They righted the ship. Tampa Bay, like I said, put those pieces in. And I'll give credit. And I'll also give credit to the NBA, because we're going to do the NBA and the NFL or the NHL together. They did it right. You put teams into a bubble, you contain it, and you were able to deliver a product that was great on ice, on the court, and you've made it to the end. Like I said, the NBA, of course, the finals start tomorrow night. But kudos to those two leagues for taking an impossible situation and saying, look, if we just bring everybody to one, the NHL had 2 locations to start. We can contain it. We can keep people safe, and we can get these playoff qualifiers and the playoffs in and do it right. And they did just that. But yeah, huge congrats to Tampa Bay. And I know some people have tried to discredit the Lightning already today, saying that it's you don't have the travel, you don't have this, so it's not a normal. It wasn't as hard of a road. But again, these guys have been away from their families for multiple months. You have families that wives are pregnant because they try and schedule things for the off season. So there's yes, they don't have the normal wear and tear of travel on the body. But to imply that these guys haven't sacrificed and put themselves through a grueling playoff year. And also, you forget that they were off from March until July, and then they have to get themselves back into on-ice shape when they haven't been able to go to rinks and to skate and things like that. So they've had to keep themselves in shape as best they could, in home gyms and stuff like that. So to try and discredit them, I think is off base. But huge congratulations. I don't like another Eastern Conference team raising that cup, but the Lightning certainly earned it.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the two did it really well. They also were the 2 leagues that had to do it first. They did both have the advantage of it already being a season in place and got to kind of design a playoff format as best they wanted. That helped a lot. It wasn't all 32 teams, which is kind of where, the NFL had to plan for, and even baseball to that extent had to kind of try to figure out a way to get everybody there. So I think doing it in one site would have been almost impossible. Do I think they could have limited it a little more? Sure. But as of now, looks like we've made it to the baseball playoffs. Looks like we've made it to the this point in the NFL. But I think the NHL, like you said, props to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And if anybody's going to take anything away from these guys, Tampa's a team that played without its captain for pretty much the entire run.
Yeah, he came back for half the game.
Part of a period. Managed to score a goal, and then couldn't finish the series. And and they kept him designated as the captain for a reason. He's been on the bench, he's been helping the squad. They never really sacrificed his active status. They could have just sent him home. He didn't want to go home. And like you said, this team's been away from it for a long time. We're in a situation where sports might mean more, and I think to each city it might mean more. So the pressure is probably at its apex, especially when, like you said, you're not seeing your family. You can't go anywhere. It's a whole different scenario. So I can't imagine the stress level inside that bubble. This counts. It was weird watching it hoisted without anybody around cheering. There was nowhere else to cut. It was a really strange thing to watch, but it's still.
Gary Bettman didn't get booed.
Yeah, and the fact that they didn't pump booze into that stadium—that's
the only thing the NHL
has. He has too much control. They should have been booze pumped in, but it's always exciting to see 20, 30, and 40-year-old men act like little kids just because of a cup hoisted over their heads, and I think it's by far the best trophy in sports and the best tradition in sports, and good for them. Hopefully Philly soon. They're our last hope, I think, from what I'm seeing right now. So please, God, let this be a sign of things to come. But yeah, props to them. NBA finishing up their bubble. Good for them. Should be a heck of a show to finish out. I think, like you said, props to both leagues.
I think the NHL set a precedent, though, that every year now you have to have those fire bombs going off when the team hoists the cup, because last couple of years they've done some dinky fireworks, but now you got to get those fire bombs every year. Matt, thoughts on the Stanley Cup final?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of knew going into this that whoever won, we would hear it doesn't really count thing. So, that bears no weight to me. It counts. Like you said, you're away from your family in the middle of a pandemic for months. There's enough emotional toll that, home ice advantage doesn't even play a role in this. Like, everyone was playing on an even field, sure, but everyone's going through something differently. So kudos to all the players for going through that, like kind of grasping the importance of bringing sports back. I think NBA, NHL realized early on, the world kind of needs some sort of distraction. So for all of the athletes to kind of make the sacrifice that they did to give us that, I'm not a huge hockey fan. I watch the Flyers, and that's really kind of it. But I paid attention to this Stanley Cup just because it kind of gave me sports, which I needed. So thank you, all the NHL players. Congrats to Tampa Bay for their win. It's truly a Stanley Cup win. That banner deserves to be up in their rafters, and they all deserve to hoist that cup.
Yeah, and same to the NBA. I mean, whoever comes out, obviously the Lakers and the Heat. We Sean and I talked about a couple weeks ago that as long as the Lakers made it, I feel like the NBA already won, because whether it was the Heat or the Celtics, you were going to have some sort of like dream matchup. You were going to have a renewal of that great rivalry from like the 80s and 90s of the Lakers and the Celtics, or you were going to get LeBron versus the Heat, and kind of like this Cinderella story, and of course the Lakers making it to the finals in the year that Kobe Bryant's tragic passing. I think this sets up for a really fun final. Obviously, I don't have a dog in the fight here. I will probably be watching more of the NBA finals than I ever have, because again, the NHL's done. During the week, we're going to have baseball, but I'm certainly going to check in on the NBA finals as well. I personally, if I like had to pick a team that I'd prefer to win, it would probably be the Lakers. And I apologize to my pal Ernest Christian, who's a big Heat guy and has been for his whole life. But just because of the passing of Kobe back in January, and for them to be able to win that title in the same year, a year from that tragedy through obviously the pandemic and all of that, I think would just be a pretty wild story. But it is going to be fun, and again, same as the NHL. Whoever wins this absolutely deserves it. Anybody trying to discredit them as well needs to just kind of forget that and move on from that line of thinking, because these guys have earned it. Absolutely. Sean.
As far as NBA, like you said, I think we touched on it whatever the matchup was going to be for LeBron was going to be pretty ideal. I'm not sure the Nuggets fell into the last four quite as well as the Clippers would have. That was kind of an oops, sorry, but they just got taken care of. Also, I'm going to give everything I can to the Heat. Obviously, I have a heck of a coach, which makes you wonder what would have happened with the right coaching staff for Jimmy Butler in Philadelphia. Looks like with the right coaching and the right team around him and a chance to kind of be the glue, Jimmy Butler's very effective, but I'm not sure he was asked to do that. And he's shown that he can be that kind of player and a selfless player, and props to him. Having said that, I don't want to see him win. It's hard to say at this point that LeBron is underrated, but I still feel like he is, and I still feel like, I think it's just the world we're in now, where people want to tear down the greats, or they want to, there's always someone better, or we trust the tweets we read, or whatever else. Unless I'm tweeting or one of the guys on this podcast are tweeting, you don't have to trust it. You can feel free to question that tweet. The three of us would never lie to you. We would never lie to you, but everybody else, they're going to lie to you at some point. And the ones that are telling you LeBron is not as good as Kobe, or not as good as Michael, or not shouldn't be in a conversation, they're lying to you. And I'd like to see him get one more, even though people will say, well, it was LA and they bought it, and give him another one.
So what? Most teams at this point
buy them.
I mean, that's the way, the nature of sports at this point. Anyhow.
Buy them, yeah.
It's not the old days. Like you don't have the guys that are in a place for their entire career and take down discounts, and
you don't.
Guys chase championships because that's unfortunately how legacies are defined. Matt, your thought on the NBA Finals?
Yeah, like Sean said, the Clippers would have made this a better Final Four than the Nuggets. It's still a nice Cinderella story, but those always kind of come to an end, and then you're just kind of left wondering what if. To the point of LeBron, 9 of the last 10 seasons, he's taken a team to the NBA Finals. So if anyone's trying to discredit LeBron at this point, you just have to look at that. Win or lose, he's gotten to that dance. Jim Kelly lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. Was he a bad quarterback? No, absolutely not. So that's kind of like the LeBron effect. And at this point, he doesn't even have a big three at this point. It's him and AD carrying a cast of characters into the NBA Finals. So Jimmy Butler just kind of fit into the perfect situation for him. He was never going to be the man in Philadelphia. When you have 2 young superstars like the Sixers do, he's just going to kind of get lost in the folds. So he found the right situation for him. I'm happy for him, but I don't want to see him hoist the championship. I hate the Miami Heat. I hate the Miami Heat fan base. I hate that they think that because people want to go to Miami, that they are the gold standard of NBA franchises because they lucked into LeBron for 4 years and got 2 championships out of it. So don't want to see any success for them. Like the story that we're seeing here with Kobe passing away, LeBron kind of taking that on his plate at this point as being kind of the guy now. In LA, I want to see Anthony kind of get the ring that he's deserved after being in New Orleans for so long, trying to do things the right way, trying to build a team down there and not getting it. I think he's deserved that ring. So I'm certainly rooting for the Lakers, which is kind of weird as a 76ers fan, but the enemy of my enemy is always my friend, as they say.
That is fair. All right. The Yankees now 11-2 over Cleveland, 11-2. So pretty sure that in the top of the 8, that one's pretty much locked up for game 1 there. And the debate looks like it's well off the rails. I might watch it just for the entertainment factor.
I saw a tweet or a comment that I'm assuming it happened during the debate. I don't see any reason why, but the whole I brought Big Ten football back, that may have come into play.
Yeah,
just want to throw that out there while we're on a sports podcast. So it should be entertaining to catch up on.
Does he know that the college football players knelt week 1 like some SEC? Is he done? Is he done now?
He's just like, I wish I'd never done it.
All right. Just Sean, do you got anything to add, or just let people know where they can follow you, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up.
Well, I'm sitting down here in Tampa, and I'm hearing a lot about kind of a championship run, kind of, maybe it's a Tampa Bay dynasty kind of thing. I don't know if it was me. I don't know if it's fate. I don't know what it is, but it's getting hard to argue with, so it should be a pretty fun city to be in over the next several years. But for me, I'm still Sean, and I'm down here, so we've renamed it the Sean Shine State. That's where you can reach me on Twitter, at Sean Shine State. That's SHAWN, Sean Shine State. And otherwise, may as well say go Birds. Maybe we'll get 3, maybe we'll get 4 wins. At this point, who knows? But they're all I have left. And so Gritty and I say goodnight.
Love that, Gritty. How about you, Matt? Where can people follow you?
You can follow me. My Twitter handle is on here at 3CT, the letter A, Philly as in Philadelphia, the number 8. So Sixers are done. You have a break from me complaining about them until it looks like January. I occasionally complain about the Eagles. I didn't even get to watch the game until the end last week, so that was a nice treat to get to see that overtime. Notre Dame, you get a week off of me, but no more Flutie, so I've been a little more during the Notre
Tony
Dame.
Dungy has been a welcomed commentator.
So aside from that, I'll mix in tweets about movies that I'm checking out, wrestling as well, or just random shit. But give me a follow. I'll follow back. You can argue with me. I probably just will not care and won't respond and block you. I've learned well from Big Jim. So
keep that block finger strong, man. That's what I do. And now apparently Biden said it's hard to get a word in with this clown. So this will be, if nothing else, it'll be entertaining. You can follow me.
He's the voice of America. He is saying what we're all thinking.
You can follow me at Big Jim Sports. Make sure you just you're following along with the show at Huddle Up Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to our show on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our show on all podcast platforms and on Spotify as well. Easy for me to say. And you can make sure you check us out each week. And until next time, stay safe, stay smart, and go for the win. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?